You're watching the TCMMA podcast.
Randy Couture is highly upset with the settlement, $335 million settlement that the UFC settled with former fighters. Couture saying, "My concern is in the settlement. There's no injunctive relief," he said. "We're not forcing the UFC to change the way they do business, which is what the class action set out to do." Now, he goes on to say fighters will, of course, make some money, but it didn't accomplish its goal of setting out to force the UFC to change the way it does business. And they're not going to, right? They keep the fighters under like 20-25% of the entire revenue. And that's because the UFC has it's a business. They got a lot of expenses. They got fighter pay. They got hosting sites they got to pay for. They got personnel that they got to pay for. There's a whole lot of stuff that the UFC has to pay for. So all those expenses, minus the fighter expenses, the UFC needs to come out making some money as well. That's the bottom line. In order to do so, the fighters only make so much money, right? But Randy Couture is not happy about that. And we've talked about this in detail. I don't think the UFC is doing anything wrong. I think fighters make good money, and they're independent contractors with the ability to negotiate their salary. So you had the freedom to negotiate, and then you're going to be upset about what you freely negotiated later. Now, does the UFC have a monopsony? Probably. Because there's no other promotion that can really compete with the UFC. But we like it that way. We don't want another promotion compete with the UFC because we want to know who the best is. Like now you see Venom Page coming over. Michael Chandler came over a few years ago. And they're serious contenders, but they're not title worthy. They're not going to win the title because the UFC is just up and down much stronger. And you can take the best of the best from other promotions, and they're not going to win a title in the UFC more times than not. It'll happen eventually. But the UFC has a stronghold on all of MMA in terms of competition level. So then these fighters are forced into one promotion, and they feel like they don't have a fair playing field in terms of negotiating power. But I'm here to tell you, yes, they do. They're individuals with the ability to negotiate their contract. They don't have to say yes. They can go to another promotion and make more because they may be, especially the younger fighters, the fighters that aren't ranked, things like that, they may be more valuable money-wise in another division or promotion, but they stay with the UFC because they want the chance of glory to win the title. So, you know, that still is a personal choice. Don't be upset with making that decision after the fact. That's how I feel about it.
He's gon' fight, he's gon' fight. Hold your breath till the end of the night. Last fighter call, UFC at its height. Bringing that thunder with all his might. Saying, step up, wanna fight? Hold up, think twice. Gladiator, assassin, reckless, no abandon. Walk through that cage, he'll leave your ass.